Hi, I'm Zane. Welcome to Zane's English Podcast. Put on your headphones, take a deep breath, and relax. Today's video will help you in a very real situation. Imagine this. You are at the airport. Your flight is soon. You want everything to be easy. But when you arrive, you see a big screen full of information, and you hear announcements you don't understand. Then you look at the check-in desk, and there's a long line. Your hands feel a little sweaty. Your mind says, what if I can't explain myself in English? If that sounds familiar, this episode is for you. Today we're talking about English at the airport. We will focus on check-in, security, and the boarding gate. I will tell you a simple story, and inside the story, you will hear useful sentences. Then I will explain 10 practical sentences that you can use again and again when you travel. After that, we will repeat the sentences together, slowly and clearly. Let's begin. Last summer, I had a morning flight to another country. It was not my first flight, but I still felt nervous because airports are busy and fast. I woke up early, before the sun was fully up. I checked my phone and saw my flight time again, even though I already knew it. Then I checked my passport, my wallet, and my bag. I always do this because I do not want surprises. I also checked that I had my ticket on my phone, and I took a screenshot in case the internet was slow. Then I left home and took a taxi to the airport. When I arrived, the airport was already full of people. Some people were walking fast. Some people were looking at the big screens. Some people were sitting and drinking coffee. I walked inside and stopped for a second to look around. The first thing I needed was the check-in area. I saw many airline names, so I looked for my airline. I found it, and I walked toward the check-in counters. But then I saw a problem. The line was very long. I looked at my watch and felt a little stress in my chest. I didn't want to miss my flight. I stood in a line and tried to stay calm. While I waited, I listened to the people around me. I heard short sentences, not long ones. I heard people say, "Passport, please." I heard people say, "Here you go." I heard people say, "Is this the right line?" That made me feel better because it reminded me that airport English can be short and simple. When it was my turn, I stepped forward and smiled at the staff member. I started with a basic sentence that works for almost every flight. I said, "Hi, I'm here to check in." The staff member nodded and said, "Passport, please." I handed my passport over and waited. The staff member typed on the computer and looked at the screen. Then she said something that I didn't understand the first time. She spoke quickly, and there was noise behind me. So I used a calm sentence. I said, "Sorry, can you repeat that, please?" She repeated more slowly and said, "Do you have any bags to check?" I understood that. I had one suitcase that needed to go under the plane. So I said, "Yes, I have one bag to check." She put a tag on my suitcase and asked me to place it on the scale. I lifted it up and she checked the weight. Then she asked me another common question. She said, "Would you like a window seat or an aisle seat?" For a second, I thought, wait, which is which? But I remembered, a window seat is next to the window. An aisle seat is next to the walkway. I like the window because I like to look outside. So I said, "A window seat, please." She clicked a few things and printed my boarding pass. She gave it to me and said, your gate is B12. Then she said, boarding starts at 9:10. I looked at the time and felt relief. I still had enough time. I stepped away from the counter and looked at my boarding pass. I saw my name, my flight number, my seat number, and the gate. I also saw the word boarding. Boarding means when people get on the plane. I said the word quietly to myself. Boarding, gate, seat. Then I looked for signs to security. Security is the place where you show your boarding pass and they check your bags. I followed the signs and walked to the security area. At security, there was another long line. I joined the line and watched what people were doing. I saw people taking laptops out of their bags. I saw people putting small bottles in a tray. I saw people taking off jackets and belts. I decided to prepare early. I took my laptop out, I took my water bottle out and threw it away. Because you cannot bring water through security. Then I reached the front and the security officer said, boarding pass and passport, please. I gave them both. He checked them and said, put your bag in the tray. I did that. And I also put my phone and keys in the tray. Then he pointed and said, walk through. I walked through the scanner and then I heard a beep. My heart jumped for a second. The officer looked at me and said, step aside, please. Step aside means move to the side. I did it. He used the small device to check my hands and my belt area. It was quick, but I still felt uncomfortable because it's not a fun moment. The officer was not angry. He was just doing his job. After a few seconds, he said, okay, you're good. That means everything is fine. I said, thank you. And I went to pick up my things. I found my bag and put my laptop back inside. I put my jacket on and checked my pockets. Then I walked away from security and looked around. Now I was in the departure area where there are shops and cafes and many gates. I looked for the big screen again and I found my flight. I checked the gate number one more time. It still said B12. I checked the status. It said on time. On time means not late. I felt happy because nothing was delayed. I decided to get a coffee and sit near my gate. I didn't want to be far away. I walked to a cafe and ordered a small coffee. Then I sat down near B12 and watched people. Some people were sleeping on chairs. Some people were charging their phones. Some people were reading. I plugged my phone in and charged it too. I also opened my bag and checked that I had my passport and boarding pass. At airports, it's good to check these things again and again because you don't want to panic later. After some time, I heard an announcement. I didn't hear every word, but I heard my flight number. That made me sit up straight. Then I heard the gate number, B12. I looked at the screen near the gate. It changed and showed boarding soon. Boarding soon means you should get ready. I stood up, picked up my bag, and joined the small group of people waiting in line. A gate staff member came to the desk and started speaking into a microphone. She said, "We will begin boarding now." Then she said, "Please have your boarding pass ready." Have it ready means hold it in your hand so you can show it quickly. I took my boarding pass and my passport and held them together. Then she said, "We will board by groups." Groups means people are called in small sets, like group 1, group 2, and so on. I looked at my boarding pass and saw my group number. I waited and listened. When my group was called, I walked to the gate desk. The staff member smiled and said, "Boarding pass, please." I gave it to her. She scanned it and said, "Have a nice flight." I said, "Thank you." Then I walked down the long hallway toward the plane. I could see the plane through the window, and it looked big and quiet. I stepped onto the plane, greeted the flight attendant, and found my seat. I put my bag in the overhead bin and sat down. My shoulders finally relaxed. I was on the plane. I made it. While I waited for the plane to take off, I thought about the English I used. It was not difficult English. It was simple and polite. I did not need long explanations. I needed a few key sentences. That is what I want for you too. So now, let's go through 10 useful and practical sentences for English at the airport. These are sentences you can use again and again. I use them in the story and you can use them in your real life. Sentence 1 is, "Hi, I'm here to check in." This is a simple way to start at the check-in counter. You can also say, "Hi, I'd like to check in." Both are okay. You say it when you arrive at the desk. Sentence 2 is, "I have one bag to check." You use this when you have a suitcase that will go under the plane. If you have no big suitcase, you can say, "I don't have any bags to check." Sentence 3 is, "Can you repeat that, please?" This is one of the best sentences at an airport. Airports are loud. People speak fast. If you did not understand, you can say this calmly. Sentence 4 is, "A window seat, please." You can change window to aisle. You say this when they ask you about your seat. Sentence 5 is, "Where is security?" This is for finding the security area. You can also ask, "Where is gate B12?" The structure is the same. Sentence 6 is, "Boarding pass and passport, please." This is a sentence you will hear. You should know it. It means show your boarding pass and passport. You can respond with, "Here you go." Sentence 7 is, "I need help finding my gate." This is a great sentence if you feel lost. You can say it to staff and then show your boarding pass. Sentence 8 is my flight on time?" This is a simple question that helps you check if your flight is delayed. On time means not late. If it's delayed, you can ask, "How long is the delay?" Sentence 9 is, "We will begin boarding now." This is another sentence you will hear. It means people can start getting on the plane. And sentence 10 is, "Please have your boarding pass ready." This is also something you will hear. It means hold it in your hand and get ready to show it. Now, let's do repeat after me. Speak slowly and clearly. Repeat each sentence. "Hi, I'm here to check in." "I have one bag to check." "I don't have any bags to check." Can you repeat that, please? "A window seat, please." "An aisle seat, please." "Where is security?" "Where is gate B12?" "Boarding pass and passport, please." "Here you go." "I need help finding my gate." "Is my flight on time?" "We will begin boarding now." "Please have your boarding pass ready." "Have a nice flight." Thank you. Before you go, remember this. Airport English doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be clear. One short sentence can save you time and stress. Practice these sentences a few times today, and your brain will feel ready when you travel. If you want, write one sentence from today in the comments and tell me where you want to fly next. And if you want another episode like this, watch the next video, because the more you listen and repeat, the more confident you become. I'm Zane, and this is Zane's English Podcast. See you in the next video.